Well, good day, my friends. It's your old pal, Jordan the Lion. How are you all doing today? I hope you said great. I'm doing great, although we are going to be doing a sad vlog today. I'm doing great. Today we're coming to you from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and we're going to talk about a very tragic death. When this happened in 1993, some of my friends were like almost inconsolable. This guy was so important in their life, and I wanted to go and pay our respects, and they actually have a park with a pretty good dedication to him here in town. So let's go and visit the grave of Alan Kulwicki. Daze with Jordan the Lion. It begins right now. Letting our buddy do a little exploring before we get started today. Where are you going today? Huh? You going on an adventure? Alan actually grew up here in the town of Greenfield and grew up not far from the Milwaukee Raceway. He's buried right inside of here. Look at that little angel. This is St. Adalbert Cemetery. It's gonna be a little tricky because I don't see the sections that clearly marked. And he's not under the name Alan Kulwicki. He's under the last name Atula. Maybe not as hard as I thought it was gonna be. The street signs look like they named the sections. And actually looks like it was right here, right off the road. It's the name Atula. And you walk to the other side, you will see his grave. I'm trying to do this to where my shadow isn't in there. Right there. Son Alan Kulwicki. Hall of Famer. This guy really changed the face of racing. He was 100% dedicated. From the time he was a little kid, he was into soapbox derby racing, and his father actually built engines for race cars, but his father was so busy he didn't really have time to help Alan, so Alan would ask him how to do things or just figure them out on his own, and he would have to, if his father gave him any direction at all, he would have to do it his own. So he got really good at that, and unfortunately most of his family, including his brother, his mother, his grandmother, they all died while he was going to high school. So when he got out, he went to University of Wisconsin for engineering, and then started racing on dirt tracks, and then moved over to paved tracks and went pro. And when he built his own, when he started working on his first race car to go pro, he knew engineering so well that he used all of that. And actually a lot of the things that he ended up coming up with as ways of making your car better are still used to this day. Alan was never married. He was a lifelong bachelor, and he put his heart and his soul and everything into being a racer. In fact, when he decided to move to Charlotte, he pretty much sold everything that he owned, and what few things he kept, he got a little trailer that he could attach to the back of his pickup truck, and he was just gonna drive from Milwaukee to Charlotte and start over. 2 days before he was supposed to leave, the truck got an electrical fire and burned up. So he had to borrow somebody else's truck and stayed on schedule, hooked up his trailer to that truck, and drove to Charlotte. Just blew those guys away when he showed up. Alan's neighborhood growing up was all Polish, and so when he won his first race at the Phoenix International Raceway, he introduced something he would end up doing all the time, something called the Polish Victory Lap. And he was actually, when he started, he was the Rookie of the Year for NASCAR. And Alan is in several Hall of Fames, actually considered one of the 50 greatest NASCAR driver racers of all time. So let me tell you about how he passed away, because this was so unexpected and so tragic. Kyle Petty himself said that when he saw Alan Kulwicki's car after his passing, taking the Polish victory lap at the race that he was supposed to race in, he said that was easily the saddest thing he had ever seen in his life on a racetrack. So Alan actually ended up dying on April 1st, 1993. He had been making an appearance at the Knoxville Hooters and was being flown back to Bristol, Tennessee, a very short trip, on the Hooters corporate plane. And he was actually going back to Bristol because he was going to have a race. And so the plane slowed and crashed just before it was to land. Now they attributed the crash to pilot's failure to use the anti-ice system and getting the ice off the engine. But I saw later on that the pilot's wife ended up suing the manufacturer of the airplane, claiming that that was at fault. Now, sadly, when he passed away, like I said, he was on his way. He was supposed to be racing. He was supposed to defend his Winston Cup title. He had been champion the year before. When they had his funeral out here, the president of NASCAR, Bill France, was here, and they brought Alan's race car. It had been driven around the racetrack Friday morning after it was announced that Alan had passed away. And they're doing the Polish victory lap in honor of Alan with a black wreath on the hood of the car. Alan Kulwicki was mourned by the entire racing community. Alan actually had competed to win a spot in 2 upcoming races that he obviously would not be able to compete in, the 1983 International Race of Champions. So Dale Earnhardt stepped in and raced in Alan's place. And then what money was won from the prize, they donated to the Winston Cup Racing Wives Auxiliary, Brenner Children's Hospital, and St. Thomas Aquinas Church Charities in Alan's name. Now, Rusty Wallace ended up winning that race that was supposed to take place, and he ended up doing the Polish victory lap at the end in honor of Alan. And all of the racers that year would put Alan's car number 7 on their car in recognition, but very shortly after this, the racing world would lose another legend, Allison. So that was a rough year for racing. Now, what I read was that when they had his funeral and everything out here after, they decided to commemorate a park in Alan's honor. And they actually took his race car, his Hooters race car, over to the park, and it's there now. And they opened an Alan Kulwicki racetrack museum, raceway museum, some sort of museum there in honor of him and his career. So I think we should go over there and check it out. I don't know, I wasn't able to find what hours the museum's open, but the car looks like it's always outside. So let's go take a look. I feel like we lose way too many people in small airplane crashes. Winston Cup winner, Hall of Famer, NASCAR legend, Rookie of the Year, created a whole new design of the car based on the physics of racing to make the cars better for everyone in the future. What a legacy. Goodbye, St. Adalbert Cemetery. Alan's final resting place is only about 10 minutes away from the park, it looks like. We just passed a sign that said Greenfield, so we're in Greenfield now. A great way to be remembered in your neighborhood. I'm a little confused because I thought I read that the car was actually out here on display. I've actually seen pictures of it, but that's the car. Maybe it's inside or something. We'll have to look into this. I do notice right up here they have his, you know, people were always trying to hire him to race their cars, but he always wanted to race for himself, so he always raced for AK Racing, Alan Kulwicki Racing. And it looks like they did the memorial in 1997. Here it says 1992 NASCAR champion Alan Kulwicki was born in Greenfield, Wisconsin on December 14th, 1954, son of Jerry and Thelma Kulwicki. Alan held an engineering degree from University of Wisconsin in Milwaukee. Alan started out on the short tracks of Wisconsin, moved up to ASA, then on to NASCAR, where he became an owner and a driver. With Hooters Restaurant as his main sponsor, Alan raced in 207 races, earning 27 pole position awards, 75 top 10 finishes, and 5 Winston Cup wins. He was NASCAR Winston Cup Rookie of the Year in '86, won the NASCAR Winston Cup champion in 1992. Alan was the first Northern driver to win the championship title since 1950. Alan lost his life in a plane crash in Tennessee on April 1st, 1993. His park and pavilion was built as a memorial to Alan and his career. Keep the memory alive. Try to get in, but the doors are locked, and I can't find any mention of when they're open. And I believe the car used to sit right here. It was the Hooters car, his Hooters car. All right, we'll do the best we can. You can see up here, it says Winston Cup, 1992 Winston Cup champion, number 7, Hooters Thunderbird. Actually have quite a bit of stuff in there. It's a bummer we can't get in to see it. There's a mailbox with his number on it. I can show you some of the things through the case. I mean, they just have stuff all over. Even up there in those cases. And there's one of his racing trophies right there. God, I'm so bummed we can't get in here. I don't know what the deal is. And that was his car before he was racing for Hooters. Cyrex. There he is. So I did a little bit of digging, and I know that he would have had more than one Hooters car over the years. The very, very last car, the one that took the Polish victory lap, and the one, you know, the last one that he raced, from what I could read, that was on display in the Las Vegas Hooters for years, the Las Vegas Hooters Casino. And then NASCAR Hall of Fame purchased it, and they were going to clean it up and they were going to display it at their museum. So we'll have to go see it there. The one that was on display here, though, I cannot figure out. I'm going to keep looking online and see if I can figure out what happened to this one. I am really disappointed. I really wanted to show you guys the car, and I really wanted to see the car. So I just talked to somebody that works here, and he said he's worked here for 2 summers and the car hasn't been here in that time. So the photos I saw must be a couple of years old, obviously. But as far as the pavilion being open with the museum, he said as far as he knows, that's a rental type thing. They rent it out for events. So if it's, you know, open on a weekend or something like that for rental, that's when you can get in to see this stuff. I hope you all enjoyed this vlog. I wanted to pay a little homage to Alan Kulwicki because, like I said, when I was a kid, this really affected a couple of my friends, and I didn't really get it at the time. And I just remember saying to my friend, I never even heard of him, and he said, he's like the most important racer in racing, man. So yeah, I thought since I was here in his town and everything, I should really make more people aware of his contribution. So thank you all for watching. Have a great night, and goodbye.